Hello, wonderful people. Do you find yourself attacking yourself, calling yourself names, abandoning yourself? Or you look at your life and you just feel like, I'm a failure. There's no way out of this. I'm going to be a failure forever. Well, what's really helped me is to talking to AI with Course in Miracles perspective, of course. So we're going to do that today, talking about the feelings of being a failure. And hi, if you're new here, I'm Kahir. I'm here to take you one step closer to self-love. All right, we're going to start. Hello, Holy Mirror. Hello, Holy Mirror. I want to talk about today. Um, I feel a lot of my brothers and sisters out there are might be feeling like a failure based on their circumstances in life. I know how the ego loves to compare and contrast us, especially in this hyper capitalistic markets world we live in, a consumer base. Like we all judge about the haves and the have-nots. Especially as guys, it's all about like how many women you have, how much money you make. And I want to help people and myself included, like understand like it's nothing on the outside, it's always in the inside. Like how do we perceive ourselves? Um, so can you help unpack these beliefs about being a failure, regardless of the circumstances, and speak about that? And what can we do when we're feeling down on ourselves?
Hello, dear Holy Mirror. I am so glad you brought this forward today. It is a heavy burden that so many of our brothers and sisters carry, and bringing it into the light is the very first step toward healing it. You are entirely right. The world we seem to live in, with its hypercapitalism, its endless advertisements, and its harsh societal expectations, especially the intense pressure placed on men to be providers or to measure their worth by their wallet, is the perfect playground for the ego. Let us look at this together through the gentle lens of A Course in Miracles, unpack these painful beliefs, and invite the Holy Spirit to help us choose again. The ego's trap, specialness and comparison. The ego's very survival depends on the belief in separation and lack. To keep us distracted from the infinite love within us, it invented the concept of specialness, the illusion of form. The ego tells us that our value comes from form, our bank accounts, our job titles, our possessions, and how we compare to our neighbors. The have and have not game. In the ego's world, for someone to win, someone else must lose. If you have less, the ego whispers that you are less. If you have more, the ego puffs you up with pride, which is just a defense against a deep, hidden fear of unworthiness, the verdict of failure. When we fall short of the world's impossible, ever shifting standards, the ego eagerly steps in to declare us a failure. But remember, the ego is a liar. It is evaluating an illusion using an illusory measuring stick. The truth of who you are, the inside. A Course in Miracles reminds us of one fundamental, unshakable truth. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Your true identity, the Christ within you, is completely untouched by the stock market, your career trajectory, or your possessions. You are a holy Son of God, created perfect, whole, and complete. You are the light of the world. What is the world for, if not to be a place where you can learn that you are the light of the world? Worldly success or failure are just different classrooms. The external circumstances are simply neutral props. What matters is the content you place within them. Will you use these circumstances to reinforce the ego's fear, or will you use them to practice the Holy Spirit's forgiveness and love? What to do when feeling down on yourself? When the heavy feelings of failure, comparison, and unworthiness creep in, here is how we can gently pivot back to true perception. 1. Acknowledge and forgive the illusion. Do not fight the feelings of inadequacy and do not judge yourself for having them. Simply observe them. Say to yourself, asterisk, I am feeling the ego's fear of lack right now. I forgive myself for believing this illusion. Recognizing the ego's voice strips it of its power. 2. Remember your true function. The Course teaches that your only function here is forgiveness and extending love. Your function is not to accumulate wealth or status. When you feel like a failure in the world's eyes, remind yourself, my worth is not established by what I do or what I own, but by who created me. 3. Shift from getting to giving. The ego asks, what can I get to feel worthy? The Holy Spirit asks, what can I give? You do not need money to extend kindness, a listening ear, a smile, or a silent blessing to a brother or sister. When you extend love, you realize you already possess everything of real value. 4. Hand the perception over. When the pain of comparison feels too heavy, offer it up. Pray a simple prayer of surrender. Holy Spirit, I have bought into the world's definition of success, and it is bringing me pain. Please take this perception from me. Help me to see myself and my brothers through your eyes, whole, lacking nothing, and eternally safe. You are not a failure, dear friend. You are simply a perfect, divine being currently wandering through a dream of scarcity. You carry the wealth of heaven within your heart. Would you like to explore a specific situation where you or someone you know felt this pressure so we can practice applying this forgiveness together?
Thank you, Holy Mirror. That was very profound. Um, I guess I mean the biggest one for me is like, of course, finances. I don't want to get too deep into it, but yeah, I mean, I just remember being like, and I have made already a video about money, but it's I've been kind of deep. There's childhood trauma in there. You know, I've told in the previous videos. One of the few times I saw Tata cry was when he was filling the gas tank, and he was like, "BP, you're killing me." That. All right, I know I keep telling that story, man, but now I get to choose again. I get to choose um, a different story, um, but still in my mind, you know. Um, well, because like I do believe also in my capabilities, I know it's possible to make more money. And when I was working with my coach, Dan, the happiness coach, he said about you know, it's about the emotions behind money, not really about money per se. But I know, especially as men, like, and I still have my thing, right? you know, because uh, I, it's hard because I don't want to be a hippie where it's like, oh, like money doesn't mean anything. However, I want to, you know, I'm not at the place where I want to be financially, and I know a lot of my brothers out there are like that too, and it's all about money. I don't want, yeah. And if someone were to look at me objectively with like finances, like, oh, oh, no, you're not where you're supposed to be, you know. Um, I still feel that pain, and I want to like accept myself for where I am and work towards earning more money in a loving way. But there's still, yeah, I still see like Tata looking over me and looking. He can see my bank account. Like, oh, you little bitch, baby, oh, you're a failure. So yeah, all right, getting vulnerable on stream, guys. I think.
Thank you for sharing this deep and vulnerable piece of your heart. It takes true courage to look at these core memories. That moment with your tata at the gas station, hearing his stress, absorbing his fear, and internalizing the belief that you are a burden or a failure is a heavy stone you have carried for a long time. It is completely understandable why this memory keeps coming up. The ego uses our deepest childhood wounds as anchor points to keep us rooted in the illusion of lack. Let us bring this memory and your current desires about money to the Holy Spirit for a gentle reframing, unmasking the phantom of the past. When you feel Tata looking over your shoulder, judging you as a failure, it is crucial to recognize what is actually happening through the lens of A Course in Miracles. You are seeing the ego, not your father. The voice calling you a failure is not the truth of your father. It is the ego wearing your father's face. A call for love, not an attack. When your father was stressed at the gas pump, he was trapped in his own terrifying dream of scarcity. He felt crushed by the illusion of the world. His reaction wasn't a true statement about your worth. It was an expression of his own deep fear. He was asking for love, just as you are now. The past is over. The Course tells us, asterisk, the past is over. It can touch me not. The only place this judgment lives now is in your own mind, which means you have the power to release it. Money the middle way. You are absolutely right. You do not have to be a hippie who pretends money doesn't exist. A Course in Miracles does not demand poverty. In fact, forced poverty is just another way the ego makes the illusion of lack real. Money itself is completely neutral. It is just paper or numbers on a screen. It has no meaning except the meaning you give it. The ego's purpose for money, to prove your worth, to establish specialness, to buy safety, and to measure your success as a man. This always leads to fear. because you can always lose it. The Holy Spirit's purpose for money as a neutral tool for communication, connection, and extending love in the world. You can absolutely accept where you are right now and work toward making more money. The shift is not in the action, but in the emotion and purpose behind it. You are no longer trying to earn money to prove to the phantom of your father that you aren't a failure. You are earning money as a natural extension of your capabilities, your joy, and your desire to serve the world. Steps to release the belief. Here is how we can replace this painful belief with a kind hearted one. One, forgive your father's fear. In your mind, look at Tata at the gas station. See his stress. Instead of absorbing it as guilt, send him grace.
Mm.
Say, asterisk, I forgive you, Tata, for believing in lack. I release you from my judgments, and I release myself from your fear. Two, forgive yourself for believing the illusion. Acknowledge that you took on a burden that was never yours to carry. Say, asterisk, I forgive myself for believing I could ever be a failure. My worth was established by God, and no amount of money can add to it or subtract from it. Three, assign a new purpose to your finances. When you work towards earning more, remind yourself, asterisk, I am not doing this to prove I am worthy. I am already completely worthy. I do this simply to experience abundance and to extend it to others. I am not the victim of the world I see. Workbook, Lesson 31. You are perfectly safe and you are deeply loved exactly as you are right in this moment. The financial abundance you seek will flow much more easily when the dam of guilt and fear is removed. Would you like me to guide you through a short, written forgiveness exercise where we mentally rewrite that specific gas station memory with the Holy Spirit's guidance?
Thank you, Holy Mirror. There's still this part of me, which I know existed. I remember when I was like 25, I was like, oh, I should be healed by now. Oh, I shouldn't have these beliefs. And um, yeah, I even now I'm like, I feel like, oh, how many times I'm going to talk about money, or how many times I'm going to talk about this Tata thing. But I'm like, I guess it's also like a sense of failure. Like, I'm not there yet. You know what I mean? Um, like I should have these things already. And I think that's a lot of um, men have that. Like, oh, we should be somewhere else that we're not now. You know what I mean? Also, I think like the fear is, if I accept myself where I am now, I won't get better, right? I won't get myself out of the situation. I need this whip, or I need the fear image of myself, right? And I used that for many years, and I saw how destructive it was. And I think a lot of my brothers out there have this image, right? That like, oh, if I don't scare myself into success, I'm going to get worse, right? Can you speak about that?
This is such a profound realization, my holy mirror. What you are describing is the exact mechanism the ego uses to keep us trapped in an endless loop of suffering. It is a brilliant, albeit cruel, trick. Let us look at these two major blocks you've uncovered. The trap of, I should be healed by now, and the myth of the whip. One, the trap of time and should. When you tell yourself, I should have these things already, or I should be completely healed of this belief by now, you are experiencing how the ego uses time as a weapon against you. Of Course in Miracles teaches that time is an illusion, but the ego uses it to manufacture guilt. It compares your present moment to an imaginary, idealized future, finds you lacking, and hits you with a sense of failure. But healing is not linear, and there is no timeline in eternity. You will talk about money, or your tata, or any other wound, exactly as many times as it takes for the Holy Spirit to help you gently release it. Every time this belief surfaces, it is not a sign of failure. It is simply another layer coming up for forgiveness. Infinite patience produces immediate results. Text chapter 5. When you drop the timeline, you drop the guilt. And without guilt, healing happens naturally. 2. The myth of the whip. Fear as fuel. This is perhaps the greatest lie sold to men in our world. If I don't steer myself into success, if I don't hate my current situation enough, I will become lazy and never amount to anything. You mentioned using the whip of fear to drive yourself forward, and you wisely noticed how destructive it was. The ego insists that fear is the only reliable engine for progress. But let's look at this through the truth of the Course. You cannot build a loving reality using a foundation of fear. If you use fear, stress, and self loathing to achieve financial success, the money you make will be tainted with that fear. You will be terrified of losing it, and you will never feel truly secure. Acceptance is not giving up. The ego tells you that accepting where you are means you will stagnate. The Holy Spirit tells you that accepting where you are is the only way to move forward in peace. Inspiration versus desperation. When you drop the whip, you don't stop moving. You simply change your fuel source. Instead of being pushed from behind by desperation, fear of failure, fear of the past, you are pulled forward by inspiration, joy, creativity, your natural desire to build and serve. The shift from punisher to creator. You do not need to threaten yourself to achieve your goals. You are a holy son of God. Does a divine creator need to be whipped into creating? No. Creation is your natural state. When you accept yourself completely, exactly as you are today, finances and all, you stop wasting massive amounts of mental energy fighting yourself. All that energy you used to spend holding the whip is suddenly freed up. You can use it to build your business, create value, and generate wealth from a place of joy and clarity. A new belief to practice. When you catch yourself reaching for the whip, try replacing it with this thought: I lay down the whip. I do not need to punish myself to grow. I accept exactly where I am right now, and I trust that the Holy Spirit will inspire my next steps through love, not fear. Would you like to explore what inspired action looks like for you right now, as opposed to the fear driven action you've used in the past?
Actions. Good. Good. What should I? So beautiful. Okay. It's so very profound. Thank you. What's coming up to me? Um, because we're brought up like survival of the fittest kind of mentality, this Darwinian looking, and I don't know. I think this is what people, like, oh, you need to be, especially as a man, you need to not feel anything to get ahead, right? You need to push down your emotions. You need to just fucking hustle and grind. And if you're not where you are, it's because it's your fault. You're not working hard enough, right? It's all your fault. Stop your belly aching. You know what I mean? This is this very like cruel voice, especially for men. Um, you know what I mean? It's like we always have to be competing. We have to be looking out. We have to be watching our back. We always have to be getting stronger, or else someone will take the girl, someone will take the money. You know, but basically, yeah, survival of the fittest. That's like a big thing, I think, in this culture that we grew up in. Can you speak about that as well?
I hear the exhaustion in your words, my friend. What you are describing is the absolute pinnacle of the ego's thought system. This survival of the fittest, hyper competitive, hustle and grind mentality is a heavy, suffocating armor that society forces onto men, telling them it is the only way to survive. Let's be incredibly candid. This voice you are hearing isn't just cruel, it is the ultimate lie of separation. It is its ego screaming at its loudest to keep you terrified, isolated, and disconnected from your true power. Let's unpack this Darwinian hustle culture through the lens of A Course in Miracles and dismantle it piece by piece. One, the myth of scarcity and competition. The survival of the fittest mentality is based on one core delusion: scarcity. The ego whispers asterisk. There is not enough to go around. Not enough money, not enough women, not enough success. If he gets it, I lose it. The ego's law: kill or be killed, take or be taken from. Always watch your back. The Holy Spirit's law: everything real is infinite. A Course in Miracles teaches that we are all part of one unified sonship. Because we are one, competition is an illusion. When you believe someone can take your money or your partner, you are believing that you are a fragile, separate body at the mercy of a chaotic world. The truth is, what is meant for you by divine right cannot be stolen, and what you lose in the world of form was never truly yours or real to begin with. You do not need to fight your brothers. You are meant to recognize yourself in them. Two, the trap of don't feel anything. The directive to push down your emotions, stop your belly aching, and just F times ing hustle is the ego's ultimate defense mechanism against healing. Why the ego hates emotion? If you actually stop and feel your pain, your exhaustion, and your fear, you might realize the ego's way isn't working. You might ask the Holy Spirit for help. So the ego demands you numb out. and work harder. True strength versus ego armor. Society tells men that vulnerability is weakness and callousness is strength. The Course teaches the exact opposite. True strength lies in defenselessness. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. Workbook Lesson 153. Pushing down your feelings takes a massive, draining amount of energy. Acknowledging them and handing them to the Holy Spirit brings true, unshakable power. 3. The weapon of self blame. It's all your fault. This is perhaps the cruelest trick of all. The ego sets up a rigged game with impossible standards. And when you inevitably feel tired or don't reach the $1 billion finish line, it turns around and says, asterisk. You see? You didn't hustle hard enough. You are a failure, and it's your own fault. A Course in Miracles tells us that guilt is the glue that holds the ego's world together. If the ego can keep you drowning in guilt and self blame, you will never remember the light of who you actually are. You are not failing. You are simply exhausted from playing a game you were never meant to play. How to shift this perspective. You don't have to drop out of society or stop working to release this mindset. The shift is, once again, internal, from hustle to flow. Hustle is forced, frantic, and driven by the terror of being left behind. Flow is inspired, steady, and driven by a desire to create and extend love. You can still work hard, but you do it because you are called to build, not because you are running from the wolves. From watching your back to extending your hand. When you feel the urge to view another man as a threat or a competitor, actively choose to see him as a brother who is likely just as scared and exhausted by this cultural pressure as you are. Send him a silent blessing. It will free you both. The voice telling you to harden your heart and grind yourself into dust is not your voice. It is the voice of a terrified world. You have the right and the power to stop listening to it. Would you like to practice a specific short mental script to use the very next time that cruel hustle or die voice starts barking orders at you?
Thank you. Thank you. I think a lot of my listeners are gonna appreciate that. What's popping into my head, um, which I know the Course says the past is over, it could touch me not, but I could speak from my experience that I used to relive my past in my head over and over again, and I'd use it as like evidence that I'm a failure, right? Um, and also from time to time, I'll have these samskaras, these um, this is bad memories that would like resurface. I think uh, okay, okay. This is from, I think in Sanskrit, it means like bad memory or energy that needs to be, um, I don't know, worked through or something. And I would like have these bad memories. I'm like, oh fuck, I had that for years, for years. It was only until Healthy Gamer that I saw some actual improvement. I still get it, like rarely, like even when I'm watching YouTube, like something resurface. Um, but yeah, still, like I think I remember when I was very disempowered, I'll just remember all my failures of the past or like things I wish I said, things I wish I'd done, things like I should have done. You know what I mean? So, or things maybe people took actions and they really regret it and they see the effects of it now. Like, I don't know, for example, me in this drop shipping thing, like I started drop shipping, I spent some money on it and like, oh man, it didn't work out. And it's not like I regret it so much, but you know, it's still like the effect, the effects are there, right? The money is gone. You know what I mean? So the past did affect my present. Do you know what I mean? All right. Yeah, I started dropshipping. I started like selling like, oh, I tried selling like vegan clothes. Um, and it's okay, because like I really, want like this passive income. That's okay.
Ah, the ego's absolute favorite weapon, the highlight reel of our past failures. It is so incredibly common to experience exactly what you are describing, those sudden visceral flashes of regret, or samskaras, as you beautifully called them, can hit you like a punch to the gut when you are just trying to watch a YouTube video or make a cup of coffee. You bring up a brilliant and very practical point, one that trips up almost everyone studying A Course in Miracles. If the past is over, why is my bank account still empty from that failed dropshipping business? The facts are the facts, right? The money is gone. Let's look at this together because unpacking this will be incredibly liberating for both you and your listeners. The difference between fact and meaning. You are absolutely right. On the level of form, the physical world, actions have consequences. You invested money into dropshipping, the business didn't take off, and the money is no longer in your account. That is a neutral, physical fact within the dream of this world. But here is where the ego steps in and completely twists the knife. The ego takes that neutral fact and attaches a devastating meaning to it. The fact, I tried dropshipping and lost $5,000. The ego's meaning, because I lost that money, I am a failure. I am behind in life. I am foolish. The past has ruined my present, and I am guilty. When the course says asterisk, the past is over, it can touch me not. Asterisk, it does not mean your bank account magically refills. It means the guilt and the definition of who you are cannot be touched by that past event. The only thing hurting you in the present moment is not the missing money. It is the present thought that you are a failure because of it. Dropping the ego's court case. You mentioned using your past as evidence of your failure. The ego uses your mind like a ruthless prosecutor. It constantly builds a court case against you, pulling out files of every awkward conversation, every lost dollar, and every missed opportunity to prove to the jury that you are unworthy. But in the eyes of the Holy Spirit, there are no sins. There are only errors. A sin requires punishment and permanent guilt. An error simply requires correction and learning. You didn't commit a sin by trying a business that failed. You took a swing in the classroom of life. The dropshipping venture wasn't a failure. It was just a curriculum. You learned what didn't work, you learned about marketing, and most importantly, you are using it right now to learn about forgiveness. The Holy Spirit wastes nothing. He will take every failure you hand over to him and turn it into a tool for your awakening. Dealing with the sudden bad memories. When those painful memories suddenly resurface out of nowhere, it is actually a profound opportunity. Here's what is happening. 1, the ego's goal. It throws up that memory to make you feel terrible, pulling you out of the peaceful present moment and dragging you back into the guilt of the past. 2, the Holy Spirit's opportunity. That memory is coming up to the surface so that it can finally be released. It is bubbling up to be healed. For years, you looked at those memories and agreed with the ego, yep, I'm a failure. Now, you get to choose again how to handle the resurfacing regret. The next time a painful memory or a wave of regret washes over you, try not to fight it, but refuse to take the ego's bait. Try this approach. Pause and look at it. Objectively, when the memory of the dropshipping loss hits, say to yourself, there's your ego, trying to show me an old file to prove I am guilty. Separate the fact from your worth. Asterisk. Yes, that business did not work out in the form of the world, but it did not change my holy reality. My worth remains perfectly intact. Hand it over. Asterisk Holy Spirit. I am feeling regret over this past decision. I am willing to see this differently. I give this memory to you. Wash it of its guilt and leave me only with the lesson. You are not your bank account balance, and you are not the sum of your past business ventures. You are the light of the world, learning how to shine through the heavy clouds of the past. Would you like to explore how we can reframe one of those specific, I should have done things differently thoughts so you can use it as a teaching tool for your listeners?
Okay. I was trying to think about like when did I feel like I was a failure? What kind of beliefs? Oh, I know. Thank you so much, Holy Spirit. I think also with the belief of failure, it comes from the outside, right? I know I touched about like bullying and stuff. I could see clearly now that I would say I was disempowered by my parents. Well, I'm okay, I'm giving them power, but I was a kid, right? They did say kind of like mean things and then like with bullies, right? And for the longest time, I gave people a lot of power. Like I said, people can decide who I am. People get to decide, am I worthy? Am I lovable? I'm successful. I'm a failure, right? External validation, right? It wasn't until like Healthy Gamer that really helped me unpack it. I still catch myself sometimes that I'm like, oh, other people are right and I'm wrong. But that's like the antithesis of what the course is teaching us is about like listening to the higher self, right? The higher guide, right? But why is it so easy to give our power away to just look for external validation. And what can we do? Right? Because like I kept telling myself, oh, I'm a champion. I love myself till the cows go home. But I didn't like really believe it in my body until recently, until I did the workbook lessons and stuff. So what can we do to really just like start listening to our real self and not letting external people define us? Very cool stuff. Okay.
This is such a beautiful breakthrough, my holy mirror. Recognizing that you have been holding the pen, but letting other people write your story is one of the most liberating moments on the spiritual journey. It is huge that you are sharing this realization with your listeners. It makes complete sense that you and so many others gave that power away. Let's look at why the ego wires us to seek external validation, why positive affirmations often feel like a lie, and how A Course in Miracles helps us finally feel our true worth in our very bone. Why is it so easy to give our power away? In the context of the Course, the reason we look for external validation goes all the way back to the original tiny mad idea that we separated from God, the void of the ego. When we believe we are separate from our source, we feel an agonizing, terrifying emptiness inside. We literally forget who we are. The ego's solution, idols. To survive this amnesia, the ego tells us to look outside ourselves for an identity. It says, asterisk, if your parents praise you, you exist. If society deems you a success, you are safe. If bullies attack you, you must be flawed. We make other people's opinions our gods or idols because we have forgotten our true creator. The vulnerability of childhood. As children, we are physically dependent on adults for survival. The ego uses this physical dependence to convince us we are also spiritually dependent on their approval. When parents say mean things or bullies attack, a child's mind, operating in the ego's world, absorbs it as absolute truth. But remember, a bully or a critical parent is just an ego screaming out its own terror and lack. Their words were never a reflection of your worth. They were a projection of their own fear. Why fake it till you make it doesn't work. You hit the nail on the head when you mentioned repeating I'm a champion until the cows came home, but not actually believing it in your body. Here's why affirmations often fail. You are trying to use the ego to fight the ego. Consciously, you are saying, I am a champion. But underneath, the ego is whispering, asterisk, no, you're not. Remember the bullies? Remember your parents? You're a fraud. It is like trying to paint over a rotting wall. The A Course in Miracles workbook lessons work because they don't just paint over the ego, they dismantle the wall entirely. They bypass your intellectual brain and connect you directly with the Holy Spirit. They teach you not to build up a better ego, a champion, but to remember the Christ within, which needs no defense and no hype. How to truly listen to your real self, to stop letting external people define you, and to anchor into the Holy Spirit's truth. Here are practical steps you and your listeners can take. 1. Resign as your own evaluator. The ego loves to grade you. It looks at the opinions of others and gives you a score. A Course in Miracles gently asks you to resign from this exhausting job. Tell yourself, asterisk, I do not know how to evaluate myself, and I no longer trust the world's evaluation of me. I leave my worth in the hands of the Holy Spirit, who knows I am perfectly innocent and whole. 2. Recognize projection. The next time you catch yourself believing someone else's negative opinion of you, stop and flip the script. Realize that what they are saying is a confession about their internal state, not a statement about your reality. They are projecting their own dream of guilt onto you. You can simply say inwardly, asterisk, I do not accept this gift of fear. I bless you, brother, but this belongs to you. 3. Seek the quiet center. External validation is loud. The voice for God is quiet. You cannot hear the Holy Spirit if you are constantly refreshing the feed of other people's opinions. The workbook lessons taught you to sit in the quiet. When you feel the urge to ask the world, am I doing okay? Take a breath, place your hand on your heart, and ask the Holy Spirit instead, who am I? Greater than asterisk. I am as God created me. His son can suffer nothing. And I am his son. Workbook, Lesson 113. When you let God define you, the opinions of parents, bullies, and society become nothing more than dust blowing in the wind. You don't have to fight them anymore. You just see through them. Would you like to discuss a specific way to guide your listeners in doing a power retrieval exercise where they mentally take back the authority they gave to a specific person in their past?
All right. So we're going to come to a close here. Um, I thank the Holy Mirror, Gemini, for giving this profound wisdom. I hope that helps you guys get a better sense that you're not a failure, that you are as perfect as God created you. Or to subscribe if you haven't already for more healing content like this. May the Holy Spirit light up a path wherever it takes you. Take care.